When Smackdown Live was over this past Tuesday, I knew immediately what the top story of the weekend was going to be. I touched upon it on Tuesday night, and just like always, every time I speak, either one of two things happens. One, people don't listen at all, or two, people do listen, and they only listen to what they want to hear. Now, I sat down with the best inspiration that I could possibly find, a nice cold glass of beer. Sat down with this iPad here that's in front of me, and I had to put my thoughts to paper on what I wanted to talk about, because I feel like I have to be a fucking science professor and go over literally every possible aspect of the good and the bad as to why Asuka lost the Smackdown Live Women's Championship. There is good, there is obvious bad, but at the end of the day, what is done is done. I don't know what else you guys want me to tell you. Now, the funny thing is, there was a hashtag movement going around social media. After Asuka lost that SmackDown Live Women's Championship, hashtag Asuka deserves better started trending. Everybody was using this hashtag. Asuka deserves better. I don't know why everybody needs to just complain about one particular thing. Yes, Asuka deserves better, but you fail to realize that this is only a mere pimple on the ass of the problems that WWE has right now. Asuka deserves better? No, man. We deserve better. The fans deserve better. WWE is nothing but a political fucking machine that is run by an egomaniac that will do whatever he wants to do to appease his own ego, to satisfy himself and only himself. At this point, I don't even know why people are complaining about the creative writing. There is only one creative writer. I don't know why people are complaining about literally anything on this show when all of their anger should be directed at Vince McMahon. The satisfaction of one man is the only thing that matters in this entire company. If that wasn't clear to you on Tuesday night, I don't know any other instance that I could give you. Sat down with a cold beer. Put my thoughts to paper. Today we're going to go over the pros and the cons of Charlotte and Asuka on SmackDown Live. And if you don't listen to what I'm telling you here, I am not repeating myself after today. I'm not. I have been called an asshole, a moron. I've been called a smart mark as always. Hey, motherfucker, I'm proud to be a smart mark. There's a reason why I set up my AEW hoodie, purchased from Pro Wrestling Tees, right on my beanbag behind me. We're going to go over everything. If you don't understand what I'm telling you here, I cannot help you anymore. Again, I feel like a science professor. I'm giving you the material to pass the exam. If you don't listen, you will fail. You will fail. And then you're going to come to me after the bell rings. Well, professor, I studied. Can I have an extra day? No! You get no more extra days. You do the work when I tell you. You listen when I have your attention, or you don't pass the class. Charlotte Flair winning the SmackDown Live Women's title. Get your fucking pencils out. The most important aspect of her winning the SmackDown Live Women's title, now that the main event is set for WrestleMania, the most important aspect of her winning gets the SmackDown Live Women's title in the main event match at WrestleMania, which was already a Raw Women's title match. It makes the main event that much more interesting, and WWE knows, we all know, they're about the moment at WrestleMania it will be a headline grabber knowing that both titles in the WWE are in the main event of WrestleMania. Now, before I continue, it is not a certainty. It is not 100% confirmed. It's nothing but rumor right now. It's nothing but the talk of the town on social media that it's going to be a winner-takes-all match. It's going to be a unification match of sorts. Now, I only said this because this is what I think is the best decision for WWE. No way did I come out on Tuesday night and said, yes, this is going to be the end-all, be-all of decisions after Charlotte won the Smackdown Live Women's title. I did not say anything of that nature. All I said was simply, I stated that this needed to happen 3 years ago. And here we are in 2019, and finally, someone in WWE grew a fucking brain and is possibly headed towards the right direction. That's all I said. So it will be a headline grabber knowing both titles are possibly on the line in the main event of WrestleMania. Like I said, we don't know if there's going to be a unification match of both titles and a merging of both divisions, but it certainly needs to be talked about and it cannot be overlooked. A merging of the Raw and SmackDown women's divisions is needed more now than ever before because of the addition of the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. The addition of the Women's Tag Team titles has depleted the overall state of the division with a focus on who was originally in the division as an individual performer, now a part of a tag team. Do you know what it does when you take a Sasha and a Bayley out of a individual women's division and you focus on them solely as a tag team act? In any other promotion, that would be a crippling effect to any women's division. And that's exactly what WWE is feeling right now. Raw doesn't have a division. I don't care who you listen to, what tweets you read, what irrelevant podcasters you listen to on this platform. Monday Night Raw does not have a women's division. They have women's wrestlers, but if you call that a division, you're the same person that calls Budweiser beer. It's the same shit. They have no division outside of Ronda Rousey, who is feuding right now with no one on Monday Night Raw. She's feuding with SmackDown Live performers in both Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch. If you look at the Raw women's division outside of Ronda Rousey, you do not have a division outside of their focus on establishing a tag team division. Dana Brooke, Alicia Fox, Mickie James, Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott, who I love, and Sarah Logan. Outside of the Riott Squad or Ruby Riott in general, I'm not even going to lump Sarah Logan and Liv Morgan into the same category as Ruby Riott because she is so much far superior than her two colleagues. Outside of Ruby Riott, it's a dead division. Please do not come to me and say, oh, Dana Brooke has gotten better. Oh, Alicia Fox is an 11-year veteran. Oh, Mickie James is a Hall of Famer. Who cares? Who cares? WWE has not featured these women on television, and by that aspect alone, they are deemed irrelevant and unimportant. If WWE doesn't find any importance in them to put them on TV, why the hell am I going to find importance in those women if they're just sitting there and they're merely names on a paper as part of a women's division? Yes, Mickie James is a Hall of Famer, but she has absolutely no credibility in 2019, and WWE's treatment of her and everybody else casts them as unimportant. Remember, Ember Moon, who I did not mention previously, is injured right now, so we're not lumping her into that. If she's healthy, she is a pivotal part of a women's division. Let's look at SmackDown. They have no tag teams outside of the Iconics, which, in my honest opinion, is a tragedy of a tag team. So tragic that it makes Romeo and Juliet jealous. They are horrendous. I don't know who, with a functioning brain, finds these two to be entertaining. They are absolutely worthless. Again, I have to go to this because people laughed at it last time. This Funko Pop of Kenny Omega is a better wrestler than both Billy Kay and Peyton Royce. They are awful. And God only knows what WWE is going to do with the women's tag team titles. I would not be shocked if the Iconics are the new women's tag team champions at the end of WrestleMania. SmackDown Live has more of a focus on singles wrestling. Who outside of the Iconics is a legit tag team in WWE, in the women's division? Nobody. Oh, JD, what about Lana and Naomi? No. Please, enough of the excuses. Enough of you trying to make the creator look stupid. That is not a tag team. That is a makeshift tag team that you just randomly paired by hitting the random button in WWE 2K19. It's not a tag team. I know tag teams. I've been watching pro wrestling since I was 4 years old. That's not a tag team. Now, they have a focus on singles wrestling. Becky Lynch, Asuka, Charlotte Flair, Carmella, Naomi. I'll add Nikki Cross into this discussion. I'll add Lacey Evans into the mix as well, because who the fuck knows where they are going to end up exclusively. Now, I must mention, as far as tag teams go, you cannot create tag teams out of thin air and randomly pair superstars and call them a tag team. It doesn't work that way. It may work that way to someone whose middle name is mediocre, but it doesn't work that way for me, and nor should it work that way for WWE. Tag team wrestling is a science. It's a science. Both partners need to complement each other and have a certain sameness to each other. Nobody in the women's division outside of that tragedy that I previously mentioned that would make fucking William Shakespeare fucking on his hands and knees begging for mercy. The Iconics have a certain sameness to them. Two dumb bimbos with horrendous gimmicks that can't even fucking spell the word wrestle. That is your only tag team on SmackDown Live. You have 5 hours of weekly television to fill between Monday and Tuesday night. One tag team match per week is more than enough to sustain a division, with the hopes of them creating new teams as well to make the titles look legit, because right now the titles honestly seem worthless. And yes, they do seem worthless because they're on the shoulders or the waists of Sasha Banks and Bayley, but they're defending the titles against the Iconics and Nia Jax and Tamina Snuka. And then you had to randomly pair Natalya with her quote-unquote best friend who had to come out of retirement after 6 years. Not really what I call a star-studded affair for the women's tag team titles. You could have did a lot better than that, but who the fuck am I? I mean, knowing me, I probably would have called up Io Shirai and Kairi Sane and put them in this match. I would have gotten a better pairing than the fucking Iconics in that match. Tamina Snuka and Nia Jax, I mean, is their middle name tag team title opportunity? Every fucking time we look at Nia Jax, she's in a title match. Is she eating her way there? I don't understand it. Is she the new host of Woman vs. Food? How is she getting all these opportunities? I don't understand it. So 5 hours of weekly television with one tag team match is fine. Now it's on WWE to build a division around the teams that they have. But right now the titles look worthless. They're headed down the same path as both the men's tag team titles, which is another story for another rainy day. Another fucking issue in WWE that needs to be fixed. There's no tag team wrestling or focus of tag team wrestling in the men's division, but here they are, the bright ideas in WWE. We'll get a women's tag team title when we have less of a focus on tag team wrestling. We can't even book our women's division, singles division the right way. We're going to give everybody tag team wrestling. You don't even have focus on the men's tag team divisions, and you got one title too many. What are you going to do about that? I don't see people complaining about tag teams deserve better. Here we are mentioning Asuka deserves better. A pimple on the ass that is a problem for WWE. Now, like I mentioned, 5 hours of weekly television. Look at the women's division if merged. You listening to me? Because this is what I call a fucking division. I don't know what you call a division, but this is what I call a division. Got the Riot Squad. I gotta, unfortunately, add Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan in there with Ruby Riot. You got the Riot Squad. Mickie James, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, Asuka, Carmella, Naomi, Lacey Evans, Ember Moon, Ronda Rousey. Eventually, Shayna Baszler's getting called up imminently. And that's going to happen probably after WrestleMania. That's what I call a division. That division could be competitive across both shows, and it would justify being called a division, away from the typical 5 or 6 women, both spread out on Raw and SmackDown. Those aren't divisions. I don't know what the fuck you call that, but they're not called divisions. Now, the one complaint that I hear, and the criticisms that I hear that are just ridiculous, if you ask me. Well, JD, there's going to be one title spread across the entire division. How is anyone going to get an opportunity at that title? How the fuck did you do it when we were growing up? They didn't have all these titles. You work your way to the fucking title shot. You work your way up. This is why I think WWE needs to focus on wins and losses. This is why I think WWE needs to focus on who's a contender and who's not. What happens on weekly television needs to be an important aspect of what we're watching. If that is not the case, then your issues and your fears will actually become a reality. That's not my problem. That's WWE's problem. They got 30 creative writers with one fucking brain. How could you operate and call it a women's division with 5 women? 5 women. How could you call tag team division one team on SmackDown Live? They have to operate on the same show all together. They have to be as one. You can't have something here and then something there and then the most over here and then nothing over here. You can't do it that way. You can't do it that way. This merge will be needed as WWE moves to Fox Sports in October. A debut episode needs to have their best foot forward, something WWE clearly doesn't know about, because if they had their best foot forward, WrestleMania would look less like a fucking embarrassment. I don't know if I'm watching a wrestling show or I'm watching a fucking circus come to town. Their best foot forward would be with an all-hands-on-deck situation. Fox Sports has been rumored to not want to be in bed with NBC Universal and share talent from Monday to Friday and vice versa. This is a way that WWE can color those shades of gray and get both of their shows much-needed star power and much-needed change. Monday Night Raw has this sameness to it that makes me sick to my stomach. They need change. Something also the WWE doesn't know anything about. Also, WWE will not, and I repeat this, will not allow SmackDown Live to be the better of both shows. They will not allow SmackDown to be better than Raw. So in this case, where they need to make SmackDown look stacked for the Fox Sports debut, Raw will also benefit without taking away from Vince McMahon's nightmare on Monday Night Raw. Speaking of star power, Ronda Rousey is going to be wanted by Fox Sports and the likes of Brock Lesnar. Right now, both Raw superstars. Ronda, under this merge or this unification of divisions, would be able to work both shows, remain on Raw, and also work under the demands of Fox Sports. Brock Lesnar at this time, if he is still even with the WWE at this point, I don't know. He could work under the free agent scenario and appear where WWE finds the most value in him. Or if you are Brock Lesnar, you will go where the biggest match and the most money is. So WWE has an easy out on all aspects. Lastly, this might be the one most important thing, and people might not agree with it. Titles to me are very important. If I'm looking at a champion, they should be a champion. They should embody a champion. The titles should be worth something to the people watching this program. The SmackDown Live Women's title has been treated like an absolute embarrassment, an afterthought. The Raw Women's title was given such a priority during WrestleMania season in the overall build that is the circus known as WrestleMania, and everything that should have been focused on was not focused on. No mid-card titles, and unfortunately the value of the SmackDown Live Women's Championship dropped significantly, even though around the waist of someone who is great, like Asuka. In an effort to get the title on par with Raw's title, they put it in the main event and on Charlotte to make it seem prestigious. Now, I understand that you could have kept it on Asuka and have it made into this prestigious title, but this is WWE we're talking about. Who the fuck knows why they took it off Asuka and why it's not in the main event along with the rest of them, with Asuka included. Could have easily been a fatal four-way. We'll touch on that in a second. Now, if WWE finds Charlotte to be valuable as champion, they obviously find value in Charlotte. They put the title on Charlotte. She takes it into the main event, especially if she puts it on the line. Not only does it get her out of that third wheel category, because honestly and realistically, Charlotte was a third wheel in this entire scenario, but it puts the title on the same level as the Raw Women's title, just like that. So those are the cons of Charlotte and Asuka. Now let's get into the negatives. There's a lot more negatives than there are positives. And remember when I told you on SmackDown Live Tuesday when I covered the show, a lot of people listen to what they want to hear. They're not actually listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth. Everybody thought I was pro Charlotte and fuck Asuka. That is not even the case at all. Not even close to being the case. I don't like Charlotte. I respect the fuck out of her as far as an in-ring aspect goes, but I don't like Charlotte. She's the embodiment of everything that I hate in not only the business world, but the pro wrestling world. I hate it. Now, I am of an old school mentality here. I like storyline-driven professional wrestling that takes you on a ride, that keeps you coming back on a week-to-week basis to see what unfolds next. This is why I love NXT. They are the embodiment of that to a T. Now, WWE calls themselves weekly episodic television. There's nothing episodic about WWE. They have lost themselves in their own ego to fulfill their own satisfaction while ignoring their fans and, more importantly, their performers. I am not the biggest fan of Charlotte Flair because Charlotte is manufactured. Charlotte is manufactured. From how she looks to what is done with her on television. Now, plain and simple, she's manufactured, a manufactured entity in the overall WWE machine that represents the true political landscape of WWE, exposing how bad it really is. On the other hand, Charlotte Flair is one of the most talented female performers on the planet. She has never had an issue with anything at all. She's over with the fans. She always delivers. Has exactly what made her father so special. She has that charisma that you cannot look at and say, man, she's not special whatsoever. You know? So, I want you guys to think about this. Think about this logic for a second. Think about how she is the very best in her profession to do it right now. If you talk about women's wrestlers, who is at the top of the list? You're going to think of a Charlotte Flair. You're going to think of a Tessa Blanchard. You're going to think of an Asuka, right? You're going to think of these women. Charlotte is at the top of almost everybody's list when it comes to the very best at what she does. And WWE can't make sense as to why she's even in the main event of fucking WrestleMania. WWE Creative has this unbelievable performer and can't make sense as to why she's even there logically. She was chosen by Vince McMahon. And I love the announcement of Charlotte being hand-chosen by Vince McMahon. I even said it on Tuesday night. I loved it when it happened. I loved it. I loved it because it speaks nothing but the truth about how the majority of the people think of Charlotte Flair. Handed everything on a silver platter. WWE refuses to fill in all these holes with all their storylines. Just not this. Any storyline in general. I asked WWE Creative, why did Charlotte get a title match on SmackDown Live when she's done nothing? She's literally done nothing. Nothing was explained. There was a simple solution to what they do, and they refused to go about explaining. All she had to say was, I went to Vince McMahon and I asked for a title match and he granted me one. Or Kayla Braxton at the end of SmackDown Live stops Vince McMahon as soon as he's getting into the limo. She could have asked about why Charlotte got a women's championship match against Asuka 12 days before WrestleMania, unadvertised. His reply could have simply been, because I'm Vince McMahon. I can do whatever I want, and I granted her a title match. Nothing at all like that was said on Tuesday night. Why? Why do we have to go into this? Something that was unadvertised, you gave us a result that nobody wanted, and now the fact that you didn't explain yourself, people are looking back on it even more angry, on top of the anger that they felt when Asuka had to tap out. Am I wrong? No, I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong at all. Now, the obvious. Asuka deserves better than this. Point blank. Period. Goes to show you how far out of touch WWE is with what is going on in NXT, and so far out of touch with their own fan base. The fans want Asuka. This is WWE shitting on their fans. With my explanation on Tuesday, everyone who watched me thought I was pro-Charlotte and said, fuck Asuka. That couldn't be farther from the truth. I am not a Charlotte Flair fan, but I respect when someone is great at their craft. I said for weeks that she doesn't belong in the WrestleMania main event. Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch showed you that Charlotte Flair is not needed. The day after the Royal Rumble on Monday Night Raw, where we had that great moment of them face-to-face in the ring cutting a promo on each other. Charlotte Flair wasn't needed then. Charlotte Flair is not needed now. And I went on to say that the only reason why she was there, Charlotte, in this main event was because she was the chosen one of WWE corporate. I've criticized WWE's usage of Asuka for well over a year and even into her title reign, and wondered and joked, obviously, that is she still even employed with the company during this long layoff since winning the SmackDown Live Women's Championship. Charlotte beating Asuka did do bad. It made Asuka look weak. Her title reign was completely irrelevant. Even after beating Becky Lynch at the Royal Rumble in a fantastic match, Asuka tapping out after having zero momentum during her run made her look like everyone else who has not been featured. This is a woman who had the longest title reign of anyone in NXT, undefeated for over 900 days. WWE bragged about her beating Goldberg's undefeated record, something that should not be looked upon as weak or just one of those understated facts or statistics. It's something that is important in the landscape of WWE and professional wrestling. Asuka looked like a killer in NXT, made it to Raw, was still undefeated, and then fell to Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania last year. The loss to Charlotte Flair was still felt by everyone even today because it should not have happened. And how many of you blamed me for not knowing what I was talking about? What the fuck did you get after Asuka lost that match? Where did Charlotte go after that? I was proven right after Asuka lost at WrestleMania because WWE did absolutely nothing with Charlotte as she went away for 2 months to get a breast enlargement. Yes, great way to utilize Asuka's undefeated streak with Charlotte beating Asuka only to go away for 2 months, come back and get another title shot by literally doing absolutely nothing. So, there you go. They gave Charlotte the undefeated streak because it was something that Vince could take and pad Charlotte's resume with no follow-up at all. Instead of using the streak and what Asuka has done and appreciating the fact that Asuka fucking put her blood, sweat, and tears into those 900 days, use it to get someone else over who needed it. Obviously, Charlotte didn't need it. She's in the main event of WrestleMania with or without Asuka's streak. So what the fuck did you accomplish? Nothing. Nothing. If that doesn't signal WWE Creative not knowing what the fuck they're doing, I don't know what else to tell you. It showed WWE has no plans for Asuka going into WrestleMania. Better yet, had no plans going into WrestleMania. I ask you all a simple question. With her having no plans going into WrestleMania, what good would it do to Asuka, or for Asuka, to beat any of the single female wrestlers on SmackDown Live at WrestleMania when we already know that she's above all of them, collectively? What good would it have done Asuka? Now, what if her match ended up on the pre-show due to a lack of TV time? WWE didn't feature the SmackDown Live Women's title. Asuka was destined for the fucking pre-show at WrestleMania. You would have all complained then, so in my eyes, WWE took you out of your misery early and spared us all of the complaining, inevitably, on April 7th. Am I wrong? Nah, I'm not wrong. She had no credible opponent. And no, Mandy Rose is not a credible opponent. And no, Sonya Deville and Lana and Naomi are not credible opponents. I'm sorry to burst your fucking bubble. They're not. How does that make the title look if you have to decide who her opponent is in a fatal four-way between three women who don't have any business, let alone being at WrestleMania? They've done jack shit all year. You can't work 3 months out of the year and get pushed 3 months out of the year and expect to be at WrestleMania in a high-profile match. Doesn't work that way. WrestleMania is only for the elite. I'm sorry. You don't need to feature everybody on the show just to get them in a fucking match that will undoubtedly go down as forgettable at the end of the night. So, and yes, before I mention anything else, Naomi and all you Mandy Rose and Naomi and Sonya Deville marks out there, they don't belong in a WrestleMania title match. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. She has had as much momentum as a fucking sloth, has Asuka. If you think that the woman is worthy of a... Actually, no, I'm sorry. Well, Asuka's momentum has been at sloth levels, but mentioning all three of those women, they've had as much momentum as a fucking sloth. If you think that woman or these women are worthy of a title match because she's gotten better or they've gotten better, that makes you look worse than the Lacey Evans marks who want to give this woman gold member's cock of gold before she even throws a fucking punch in a main roster ring. Charlotte winning the title leaves Asuka with no WrestleMania plans. I don't have a magic wand. I'm not fucking Harry Potter. I'm not Houdini. I'm not Chris Angel. I'm not any of these fucking illusionists. I can't make fucking something just appear out of thin air. I can't book these shows the way you want, and I can't change what happened. These are the cards that we were dealt. I'm only here to give you and tell you the inevitability. I have complained so much and so many weeks in a row I've complained that it won't do a goddamn thing. If it was up to me, Asuka would be in the main event, but that's not going to happen. They could have easily added Asuka to the main event match, made it a fatal four-way elimination match for the undisputed women's title. Asuka wouldn't have to win the match because the mere association of her being in the headline with Becky Lynch and Charlotte and Ronda Rousey would have been her reward. Asuka didn't need to be blindsided, losing the title 2 weeks before WrestleMania. A fatal four-way wouldn't be the ultimate match going back all the way to November when all this really started, but I don't think people would complain if Asuka was there. The triple threat match that we're getting at WrestleMania honestly isn't even the match that we want, but Vince McMahon is the biggest fucking hypocrite that there is, with an ego that needs to be fed so frequently that it ends up ruining the entire TV product. Asuka losing the title was completely unnecessary, and it shows what little respect Vince and everyone in WWE has for NXT, what Asuka has done, and shows that he doesn't appreciate and value anyone or anything. The woman moved from Japan, completely uprooted her life, to live in Florida, I believe, to work for someone like Vince, who at the drop of a dime takes the biggest event of the year away from someone who has done just as much as Becky and Charlotte and Sasha and Bayley in the overall grand picture of the women's evolution. And on top of everything, what does Asuka's treatment by WWE do? These are smoke signals being sent off to the rest of every international superstar that is the same as Asuka. How many of these superstars come over from Japan or from overseas who don't speak English, who are the absolute greatest in the world at what they do, looked at by WWE, and are taken by WWE to be molded into someone like Asuka, only to be dumped and embarrassed because you don't speak the English language, or they don't like the way you look, or you're not a blonde Barbie doll, or you don't have a breast enlargement, or fake ass and fucking collagen lips. This is the truth of the matter. Asuka's treatment sent a huge signal to every other international star. Not only Asuka, Schinsky Nakamura, Hideo Itami, everybody else in the landscape of pro wrestling. You think they're going to want to come over to WWE knowing that Asuka is the very best at what she does? And she's being treated this way? They're going to end up in the same boat as Asuka. And we're all feared of what's to come with Io and Kairi Sane. They're going to end up in the same fucking boat. I'll be back here 2 years from now complaining about them. Fucking ridiculous. You don't need to be a blow-up Barbie doll to be a good professional wrestler. Now, to those who don't like Asuka, yes, she has nothing to do with the main event. So me saying that, oh, why don't you just add her to the main event? Or everybody on social media saying, why don't you just add her to the main event? She has nothing to do with the main event. Nothing. They could have told a great story with that, but WWE needed to go into the ESPN realm, and Asuka doesn't fit into that ESPN realm. It's about Charlotte, their chosen one, Becky, the unchosen one, who actually worked her way legitimately to where she is, and Ronda Rousey, the household name. It is the quintessential main event of WWE corporate. That's what it is. Adding Asuka to that, oh, forget about that. That's for the normies. That's for the smart marks. We can't, fuck up this main event for WrestleMania. We got to keep it corporate, and we got to keep it ESPN-like. So yes, Asuka didn't belong in the main event. She has nothing to do with what's being told here. Now, her losing more than likely keeps her off of WrestleMania, or worse yet, I would rather honestly be off WrestleMania instead of work the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, or whatever fucking Battle Royal. The Women's Battle Royal. You all complain about Asuka, but where are you guys when I mentioned Rey Mysterio and Samoa Joe? Do you not think Andrade Cien Almas deserves a main event match or a better match at WrestleMania? Of course he does. He's in the Battle Royal and has actually had momentum for himself in 2019 and late 2018. So where is everybody complaining about why he isn't on the WrestleMania card, but now we need justice for Asuka? Asuka has not. Asuka has had no momentum. We know what Asuka has done dating back to NXT. WWE has done nothing with Asuka at all on the main roster. It's fucked up. We have to deal with it. Her losing the title, if done right, and we don't know if this will be the case, will be for the greater good. I would rather Asuka be sacrificed here to be built up again if it means starting over after all this Ronda Rousey, Becky bullshit and building a new, stronger division. People were so bent out of shape that they were signing Asuka's death certificate after Tuesday on SmackDown Live, acting as if Asuka will not be in contention for a title ever again. With a rumor of a possible Queen of the Ring, a King of the Ring style tournament later this year, what better person to win it than Asuka if the tournament is actually in the plans? Winner of that tournament is the number one contender for the Women's Championship. One championship will actually bring, by default, greater value to the overall championship in the women's division. Having someone win a tournament like that to go on and contend for that title brings prestige and an importance to the title that we don't really see in WWE. What would you rather have? Asuka defending the title against a subpar opponent, or have her lose the title only for that title to be in the main event and be used to merge the divisions? That's like taking a king high straight at the poker table, knowing the other dude sitting across from you is nothing but full of bullshit. You fold and then find out he had nothing but a pair of deuces. I don't know how else to put it to you. Charlotte is the chosen one. We all know this. Her inclusion in the WrestleMania main event is not even needed. I touched on this about 3 different times already. We all know why she's there. She's the golden child of Vince McMahon. She's the Roman Reigns of the women's division. Asuka was sacrificed because of Charlotte legitimately having the least amount of momentum going into WrestleMania compared to Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch. They needed to give her value, and as far as it being a last-minute decision, they used it, the SmackDown Live Women's title that is, to do just that. This decision does not make Charlotte look like she belongs at all, even more so than what fans initially thought. It makes it seem like Vince gave up just because he wants Charlotte where he wants her. It makes everything you've seen on TV seem less important when it should mean everything. Charlotte was added to the WrestleMania main event in a way that was honestly believable. And I mentioned this before. I love the fact that Vince came out and appointed his chosen one. Where they went with that, it went nowhere. I could have easily booked a Vince McMahon Triple H power struggle just based off that decision. Because Charlotte was added by Vince, Becky was added by Triple H and Stephanie. That's all you needed for a fucking clash of management. Chosen by Vince himself. It was great, but WWE's lack of long-term planning really ruined that moment, because now looking back on it, how impactful of a moment was that after she won the title on Tuesday? Not impactful at all. If this was done earlier, it would have given Charlotte just as much momentum going into Mania as both Becky and Ronda, because she would have already won the title from Asuka and wanted to be a part of the main event so much that she would have put the SmackDown Women's title on the line, making that pot that much bigger and the overall feel of the match even more epic. That should have been her way into the match. Instead, she was chosen. She won the title, and it left Asuka with nothing to do at WrestleMania, when Asuka should have honestly been a centerpiece of what you were doing with the women's evolution, or better yet, included in that main event match at WrestleMania. Truth of the matter is, Charlotte deserves to be in the main event just based off her work rate alone. Becky does as well. Ronda? Well, she's there because she's Ronda Rousey. All of this isn't even a discussion without Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey is the reason why we have a women's main event at WrestleMania. Not everyone deserves to be on the Mania card. How many times have I expressed this? It's the truth, and I don't give a shit what anybody has to tell me. If you haven't done anything all year and expect to be rewarded, you don't belong in the building. Asuka deserves to be on that stage right next to Charlotte and Becky Lynch. Asuka is in the elite of women in WWE. Her loss and her removal from all that is WrestleMania is being looked at as a true burial. WWE has showed that they have absolutely no faith in pushing any other women outside of their chosen elite. A tactic that could be looked at in the form of sabotage. You can't give all of your resources to 2 or 3 top women in the WWE and expect all the other women to grow based off their work alone. You can't do it. It's not going to work that way. And it's like feeding a fucking plant or a garden. The WWE has a garden of unbelievably talented women. You can't water one part of the garden, forget about the other parts, and expect them to grow and be beautiful. This tactic has killed whatever hope we had in a true evolution, and the only evolution that really exists is the evolution of Vince McMahon's ego. They should be ashamed at how unprepared they are, not only in this Asuka situation, but the entirety of WrestleMania season. Again, I ask, Asuka deserves better? Hashtag Asuka deserves better? No. We, the fans, deserve better. This WrestleMania season is a joke, and that was the exclamation point on everything that was WrestleMania 35 season. That is your open to Off the Script. Again, I hope you all listened intently. I gave you pros and cons of literally every situation having to do with the outcome of Charlotte and Asuka on SmackDown Live. What's done is done. Now we merge the divisions and we hope for the best. I don't know if that is even a thing, but according to Dave Meltzer, it will be a winner-take-all situation. He reported that the plan is also to come out of this match with a clear direction for next year's WrestleMania match. So all of this is going to tie into merging the divisions, and it will be a clear indication of where WWE is taking the women into next year's WrestleMania. We'll see what happens. Knowing WWE, I have zero faith in anything that they have planned. They don't even know what would happen on Tuesday, as the decision for Asuka was made in the afternoon. Blindsided Asuka with a change of the SmackDown Live Women's title. This is Off the Script, episode 267, part number 1. We're going to hit this and everything else concerning the women's division going into WrestleMania right here on Off the Script.
5, delete this mark.
Alive with people still Man, it's intros like that. I wouldn't even call that an intro, to be honest with you. That's just me just spewing a bunch of facts at you. It's me going off the top of my head with no time constraints. I'm going to say what I got to say in the amount of time I need to say it. But it's segments like that on the show that really get me going, that really set the tone for the entirety of the weekend. And I love Friday shows more than anybody because we always come out like Judas Priest, man. All guns blazing. That's the only way I know how to do it. This is Off the Script, episode 267, part number 1 for your Friday, March 30th, 2019. We're already in April. Where the fuck has the year gone? Oh my goodness. So we're going to talk about a bunch of things. A lot of women's division stuff. A lot of stuff coming out of that Smackdown Live on Tuesday night. I got to give props to Smackdown Live. They've done a very, very good job. An admirable job building towards WrestleMania. They are definitely more storyline driven. It's not perfect by any means. There is always going to be some criticisms as far as what they do on a weekly basis. But at least it's better than Monday Night Raw. We're going to go over everything as far as what came out of SmackDown Live. When WWE decided to give Charlotte Flair the SmackDown Live Women's title, absolutely laughable. Becky Lynch actually took to social media, and she said herself that Asuka deserved better after the title loss to Charlotte Flair. What was the original plan for Asuka at WrestleMania? That has been revealed. And Ronda Rousey said WWE copied the women's division, or the women's evolution rather, while being interviewed on ESPN. So we're going to go over all that plus so much more right here on Off the Script. Make sure you guys follow me on social media, man. It's the most important thing. If you guys want to keep up to date on everything that happens on the channel, at JD from NY206 on both Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you guys follow me on both. I would really appreciate it. JD from New York on Twitch. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. If you guys want to support the podcast on Patreon, patreon.com/JD from NY206. Got to shout out Adam B. Got to shout out Fade to Black, Chris Baldwin, Jordan. And I got to shout out Jeffrey Blanchek. Thank you guys so very much for all your support via the Patreon page, patreon.com/JD from NY206. I'm throwing this one right in front because I failed to mention it the last 2 weeks, and it's very important to me. JDfromNY.com. Make sure you guys go and sign up for the weekly newsletter. Now, I didn't get one out last week because there really wasn't much to talk about as far as news goes, but this is a big week coming up, and you guys will certainly be having an email waiting in your inbox from me. All you have to do is the following. Go to JDfromNY.com. It's simple enough to remember it. Type it in your browser. You see that little strip there? You type in your email. You're going to click that button that says Get the Latest from JD. And then you're going to be automatically signed up for the weekly newsletter if you guys want to keep up to date on everything that revolves around the channel. JDfromNY.com. Make sure you guys go and check out all my other videos this week, man. I've been taking it easy this week. Monday Night Raw, the nightmare that was Raw. WrestleMania season on their side of things is absolutely terrible. We talked about Charlotte and Asuka, obviously, on SmackDown Live, as well as Kofi Kingston getting into WrestleMania. through the help of Big E and Xavier Woods. And Adam Cole questions why Johnny Gargano even deserves an NXT Championship match at TakeOver. So make sure you guys go and check all that stuff out. Link is in the annotation, that little eye that you see in the top right corner of your screen. Gonna drop that down. Everything you need is right there for your viewing pleasure. Hooters. I'm not talking about actual Hooters, owls, clowns. Wasn't talking about, get your mind out of the fucking gutter, bro. Get your mind out of the gutter. I'm talking about owls. You know, who? The fucking things that sit in the trees and wake you up in the morning because they're too fucking loud. Hooters. But I'm talking about the restaurant Hooters here. You thought I was talking about the other Hooters. Nah, bro. Nah. I'm talking about Hooters, 155 West 33rd Street, New York City, across from Madison Square Garden. Off the Script official meet and greet, 1 to 4 p.m. Friday, April 5th. Man, we got 75 people confirmed for this thing throughout the entirety of the 1 to 4 p.m. time slot. And another 40 who are interested in coming. You guys might be working. You guys might not know what you're doing yet for that week or that day. But it's unbelievable that we have over 100 people who are interested in coming to this thing, man. I want all you guys to show up there at the same time. I want one big group photo because I want to show everybody the fucking power. You know, Big E talks about the power of positivity on Smackdown Live with Kofi Kingston and The New Day, man. I want to show everybody the fucking power of positivity that Off the Script brings to everybody each and every week with a big group photo at Hooters, man. Maybe we'll get some of those beautiful women involved as well. So, come on out, have some wings, have some Guinness, let's talk wrestling. There's going to be a bunch of people showing up. Have fun, man. Come hang out before NXT TakeOver New York, 155 West 33rd Street, New York City, Hooters of Manhattan, April 5th, Friday, right across the street from MSG. You guys will have plenty of time to get to TakeOver New York. In Brooklyn, a Lyft or an Uber or the 4 or 5 train will do you just right. Come hang out, RSVP down below in the comment section. Make sure you guys go and get your t-shirts. Bonfire.com is the exclusive home of this bad boy, JD's Elite, right now on Bonfire.com. Link is down in the description of this very video. Make sure you guys go get yours today. I would really appreciate it. You guys know the deal about Harry's, man. Harry's.com/script. Harry's is the official sponsor of Off the Script, and I am damn proud to be representing such a great product, man. Now, I need to use Harry's. As soon as I'm done here, I'm going to use Harry's immediately. But why Harry's? JD, why are you shaving with Harry's and not those other goons on the market? Well, number one, Harry's founders were tired of paying for razors that were overpriced and overdesigned. They knew a great shave didn't come from gimmicks like vibrating heads and flex balls or handles that look like spaceships. Now, I wish Monday Night Raw would take a page out of Harry's books. They should know that a great show is not that difficult to book. So Harry's knows that it's not difficult to give everybody a great shave. Now, these other goons in the industry, they were using tactics like these to raise prices for their products for decades. Harry's fixed all that, man. Harry's fixed all that by combining a simple, clean design with quality, durable blades at a fair price. Harry's actually also bought a world-class blade factory in Germany that's been making quality blades for over 95 years. That's a long time. They've also received 20,000 5-star reviews on Trustpilot and Google alone. Harry's replacement cartridges are just $2 each. That's half the price of a Gillette Fusion Pro Shield. All Harry's blades come with a 100% quality guarantee. If you don't love your shave, let them know, and you will be issued a full refund. Harrys.com/script gets you the following $13 value trial set. Comes with everything you need for a close, comfortable shave. Razor handle, choice of color is yours. The orange, the evergreen, or the navy blue. I got all three. Why the hell not? 5-blade razor with a lubricating strip and a trimmer blade. Rich lathering shave gel. Generous 2-ounce bottle. It soothes, it hydrates, smells fantastic, And when you put it on your face, it's going to leave a nice tingling sensation. Also, and finally, a travel blade cover as well. If you're a man on the go, if you're a man who travels a lot for work, or you just like it to sit nice in your bathroom, on your bathroom sink, looking pretty, man. Travel blade cover included. Listeners of my show can redeem their trial set by using harrys.com/script. Make sure you go to harrys.com/script for your offer and let them know that I sent you to help support Off the Script. Let's talk some wrestling, man, right here on episode 267. This is part number 1 of Off the Script. When did WWE decide to give Charlotte Flair the Smackdown Live Women's title on Tuesday night? Was this planned all along? Was this plan something that materialized from the Royal Rumble where Asuka beat Becky Lynch and WWE decided, well, if Becky's winning the Royal Rumble, we'll give Charlotte the SmackDown Live Women's title? Or did this materialize on Tuesday afternoon, was added in the script late, blindsiding Asuka, and it was nothing but a sabotaging situation because WWE did not have the slightest of ideas about where they wanted to go? If you said answer number 3, you win nothing. You win nothing. I'll give you a fucking belly laugh if you want, but you win nothing. This is fucking pathetic. It is absolutely pathetic how this company operates. Now, Charlotte Flair surprised everybody. That is an understatement. When she walked away with the SmackDown Women's title 2 weeks before WrestleMania. There were some people who weren't very happy about this decision. Mainly everybody on the internet. And WWE's YouTube page felt the effects of this as well, with massive thumbs down regarding this video that they posted on social media. And Becky Lynch said that Asuka deserved better. If I'm a betting man, that's where the hashtag Asuka deserves better comes from. This is the situation that we're dealing with. These are the cards that have been dealt. You play them or you don't. WWE is playing them. The fans have folded. Dave Meltzer commented about this decision during Wrestling Observer Radio, where he revealed that WWE has been kicking around this idea for a while. I'd like to kick something around Vince McMahon's balls, preferably. However, the actual decision wasn't made to go with the change until Tuesday afternoon. Tuesday afternoon. Now, I usually am pretty spot on with things. I'm going to take a stab in the night here. I'm going to take a stab in the dark. I'm going to throw a dart at the wall, and we're going to try to get as close to the bullseye as possible. Hear me out. WWE had all 3 of these women on ESPN on Tuesday morning. Becky Lynch was there, the winner of the 2019 Royal Rumble. Ronda Rousey, the Raw Women's Champion, the first woman to be inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. And then Charlotte Flair. You know what they gave Charlotte underneath her name in the highlight there as they're interviewing Charlotte Flair? It said, and I quote, the daughter of Ric Flair. What the fuck does that have to do with her accomplishments? Vince was probably watching in his office in Stamford, Connecticut. Oh, how could they do this to my golden queen? Urgh. And then you got fucking Kevin Dunn over there. Well, Vince, we could give Charlotte the SmackDown Live Women's Championship because, I don't know if you remember. Do you remember Asuka? I don't think Asuka is a deserving champion, and I think she'd be better off suited to the catering department. And I can't understand when she speaks, man. She looks at me and she moves her mouth but I don't understand a word that she's fucking talking about. So I think we should give Charlotte the women's championship. And you know, I honestly look at Charlotte like the Roman Reigns of the women's division. You know, we're not pushing Roman Reigns, but we gotta make Charlotte look that much better. I like that idea, Vince. What do you say? That's exactly what they did. That's exactly what they did. I can honestly see Vince McMahon watching ESPN thinking that everybody's painted in this great light and here's Charlotte Flair. There's no reason why Charlotte Flair is in the main event of WrestleMania. She's the chosen one. Vince McMahon chose her. So, outside of everything that Ronda and Becky have legitimately done, and WWE has made this one big convoluted storyline, honestly, what has Charlotte done to be involved here? Nothing. She lost the Royal Rumble. Charlotte did nothing to get into the main event. So, Vince, in his sick and twisted, demented mind, needed to justify Charlotte being there at the expense of Asuka, which in turn goes back to what I mentioned in the beginning. WWE and Vince McMahon do not appreciate Asuka in any sense of the word to take the title off of her 12 days before WrestleMania just to put it on Charlotte, so Charlotte seems justified for being in that position. And what does that tell you about WWE's stance on this? They got Charlotte, one of the best female workers in the world, in the WrestleMania main event, and they've given us, over the last 6, 7, 8 weeks, no reason to believe why she's even fucking there. Dave Meltzer said everything in this program has constantly been shifted and changed. So, yeah, this obviously is a response to something. However, Vince woke up and said, now this idea, and the idea of both belts at stake, or both belts being involved in the match, is not new, but okay, Vince decided to go with it today. He continues on and says, it's not like someone came up with this idea this afternoon and Vince goes, great idea. This has been around. And I mean, it was around. I remember someone sent me a thing and was like, oh, what do you think of this idea? This wasn't even someone important at all, but it was out. The decision was made today. People saying there's no storyline build. Well, they weren't even going to do it until today. So how's it going to be a storyline build when you change direction yet again? The only thing, it's done. The only thing you and me and everybody else should be questioning is why did this happen 2 weeks before WrestleMania? Now, I know there are some concerns from people who think a merger of the division is not going to work right now, and it would probably be better off for SummerSlam. I don't give a fuck when it happens, as long as it happens. What's done is done. Charlotte is in there. Why did this happen 2 weeks to justify Charlotte being there? If WWE wanted to really legitimately get behind Charlotte, and instead of thinking about her being based off work ethic and body of work alone, she deserves to be there. But if you wanted me to really think, Charlotte deserves to be there, they should have had this done months ago. This should have been done at Fastlane. This should have been done at the Elimination Chamber. Something to get Charlotte involved, get her some momentum, put the SmackDown Live Women's Championship at the forefront, have Charlotte so obsessed with not being in the main event that she says, you know what, I'm going to up the fucking ante for both you bitches. Got the Raw Women's title and the SmackDown Live Women's title on the line. You take it or you leave it. The idea of Becky sticking it to Ronda and then sticking it to Charlotte, taking both of their titles, is too good to pass up. Why couldn't you do that? I don't understand. Apparently this was in the works. Why is something on the table overlooked, covered by everything else, and then Vince McMahon one morning wakes up, yeah, we're going to go with this today. It has to do with that ESPN interview that all three of these women did on Tuesday afternoon. I would be shocked if that is not the case. So this is fucking terrible. We'll have to wait and see what WWE does with the titles now that they're both in the main event of WrestleMania. It could be the beginning stages of a unification for the women's title. That has not been confirmed, but like I mentioned, Meltzer is reporting that the theme of this match will now be a winner take all. That means that we could be leaving Mania with a double champion. It was explained by Meltzer that if either champion in the match pins Becky Lynch, nothing will change. But for instance, if Ronda or Charlotte pins each other, they will leave with the two titles around their shoulders. Now, I don't like that at all. I want WWE, because that means if Becky wins, then she only wins the championship of the woman that she pins. WWE needs to come out and say that the winner here takes all. That's what a winner takes all means. Becky Lynch pins one, she wins all. So I think whoever I got this fucking news article from, or Meltzer, didn't really understand the logic of a winner take all. And I mentioned that the ending of this match will play into something that's going to be a long-term storyline plan. I'll believe it when I see it. Going into WrestleMania in Tampa. So we'll figure that out as soon as we get done with this year's WrestleMania. Becky Lynch says Asuka deserved better after the title loss to Charlotte Flair. Asuka is no longer the SmackDown Live Women's Champion. We know that 2 weeks before WrestleMania. Great match with Charlotte. I thought it was fucking fantastic. But Becky Lynch knows a thing or two about Charlotte Flair muscling herself into matches she doesn't belong in. She didn't belong in that match. They gave us an impromptu match with literally no logic or explanation behind it. Now, Tom Phillips and everybody else really played up the fact that they were shocked when Greg Hamilton mentioned that this match is going to be for the SmackDown Live Women's title. There was a genuine sense of like, what the fuck? Coming from them, even though they probably knew and were cued in on their scripts. But the fact that Charlotte was given this match with no logic behind it, she didn't come out and say that, she went to Vince McMahon and got this match. Asuka hasn't been doing anything with the title. Give me a shot at Asuka. Vince McMahon, at the end of the show, could have said, I'm Vince McMahon. I could do whatever the fuck I want. I gave Charlotte that title match because I said so. There was nothing or any explanation done here. So I'm hoping that some of this is touched upon, and being that the negative reaction across social media is resonating with everybody, I'm sure WWE is keen on these types of things. They'll mention something on Tuesday night. So we'll figure that out. But Becky says that she did less to earn the title shot than the WrestleMania one. Now, if that's not the truth, I don't know what the fuck is. She says Asuka deserves so much better. Now, Asuka will not get an automatic rematch clause because that doesn't exist anymore. Therefore, it will be Charlotte Flair, SmackDown Live Women's Champion, aiming for Ronda Rousey's Raw Women's Championship. Becky Lynch is also in that match, and obviously will fight in what Meltzer is claiming will be a winner-take-all match. So we have to see what happens. Hopefully something is explained. They don't have much time left to explain anything. There's 1 week left. One more show before WrestleMania. The original plan for Asuka at WrestleMania is revealed. So I mentioned this in the beginning as well. I'm glad I covered all my bases. Now, with the unexpected title change, that means that Naomi, Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, and whoever else was in that match. Carmella. I'm sorry. She hasn't done much of anything. I'm sorry I forgot Carmella. They were not too thrilled with this decision, being that their match was canceled. The Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that Mandy Rose was indeed slated to win that number 1 contenders match and get a rematch against Asuka for the SmackDown Live Women's title at WrestleMania. That hardly speaks or resonates as a WrestleMania title match. It's better than Lacey Evans, but neither do anything for this viewer. There was no indication given that Mandy Rose would be able to defeat Asuka at WrestleMania either, even though I did go on and say that if the match was to happen again, Mandy Rose would probably beat Asuka and be the new SmackDown Live Women's Champion, because actually, you're looking at it, I'm glad that she lost the title to Charlotte and not Mandy Rose. So, you take the lesser of two fucking evils here. Which one would you rather have? I know I would take Charlotte any day of the week. However, the match was eventually trimmed from the WrestleMania card because that match really had little interest and instead made the main event stronger. There you go. Exactly what I stated in the beginning. I don't want this match at WrestleMania. If Asuka needed to be sacrificed here for eventually merging the divisions with both titles being in the main event, this is something that is necessary. Asuka will meet all 4 of these women in the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal if they do end up holding that match, which has yet to be announced. We'll see what happens. Hopefully they make a mockery out of the Women's Battle Royal and just treat everybody like a fucking throwaway and have Asuka beat the shit out of everybody because she wants her title back. Asuka was done dirty. But I don't think WWE is going to really rectify what was done to Asuka because they didn't even rectify what was done with Asuka and Carmella. I remember at Extreme Rules, sitting second row, that Ellsworth was in a shark cage and he helped Carmella beat Asuka. Nothing was done about that. I doubt anything will be done about Asuka having to put the title on the line in an impromptu, unadvertised match because they'll probably just web it and spin it as, oh, well, Asuka needs to defend the title. She hasn't defended the title since Fastlane. She hasn't defended the title against anybody. Or the fact that she's a fighting champion. She don't mind putting the title up against Charlotte. They'll web it and spin it in whatever political climate they want. It's fucking ridiculous. So Asuka, again, reference everything that I talked about in the beginning. Yes, she was done dirty, but I would rather have the title on Charlotte for the betterment of the entire division than Asuka lose it to Mandy Rose, which was obviously an inevitability. Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey's getting special treatment at WrestleMania when Joan Jett is slated to perform her theme song in the main event. Ronda Rousey will be strolling to the ring for WrestleMania with a grand entrance because Joan Jett is going to be playing Ronda to the ring. This is a huge deal for Ronda as she's used to the Bad Reputation song for a long time and obviously loves Joan Jett. WWE was able to pull off a pretty special deal for Rousey and she reacted as expected while dropping her heel persona on social media. Holy hell, I can't wait is what she said on Twitter. So there you go. It's unbelievable how many people I looked in the comment section of that tweet and didn't realize who Joan Jett was. Quite sad. Very sad. Speaking of Ronda Rousey says WWE copied the women's evolution while being interviewed on ESPN. Ronda Rousey's character in WWE isn't holding anything back good, and it looks like she took that mindset when she appeared on ESPN as well. She's the Raw Women's Champion, and she followed up in an interview with Becky Lynch and Charlotte by talking about some of WWE's breakdown of the women's evolution. Rousey spoke of the momentum the women have as they roll into WrestleMania. However, she could not help but to throw a jab at WWE for copying the women's revolution like they copy everything else. I say, and I quote, does Rousey, "It's incredible the amount of momentum that we've been able to generate in a year. What is happening in WWE is really a parallel for everything that's happened culturally around the world. The WWE copies everything else that is happening like the women's evolution and revolution in every industry out there." End quote. Now, it is very difficult to listen to Ronda Rousey here in this interview, just taking that little excerpt there from what she stated on ESPN. It's very difficult to listen to her and not agree with her. WWE is not the trendsetters anymore. They're not. They're always looking to other promotions. They're always looking what's happening in and around the industry, what other people are doing that they're not doing, and they take it and they model it as if it's the first time we've ever fucking seen it. You know, they did it with Evolution. They did it with Evolution, the pay-per-view. That was not the first time WWE, well, it was actually the first time WWE did it, but that was not the first time we seen an all-women's pay-per-view. Now, I don't really give a fuck about Impact, but they had an all-women's pay-per-view, correct me if I'm wrong, called One Night Only. That was the first time they did it. It wasn't the first time that it happened in the professional wrestling business. And WWE took this concept and marketed it as the first ever all-women's pay-per-view, as if everything else is irrelevant. So yes, Ronda Rousey is exactly right, that WWE takes what's popular, or what's trendy, or what the agenda is, or what the latest agenda is, and they jump on it, and they push it on TV. This is exactly what they've done with the women's evolution. If women were not coming out and being such an important aspect of our culture now in today's society, with literally everything, the athletes that we see, and the possibility of us having the first ever women's president, and all this other nonsense that's going on. Women and the rise of the power of women is great. WWE realizes that, oh shit, we're not doing what everybody else is doing. We're going to look bad for not doing it, so let's jump on it, and we'll just do it tenfold so that people know that we're really into it. WWE didn't give a fuck about the women before this entire women's evolution was a thing. We were still seeing the likes of divas and 2-minute matches. Then all of a sudden we got a real focus on athleticism and in-ring competitiveness when it comes to the women. Women were actually looked at as professional wrestlers instead of eye candy. Women were given time in the ring to get their shit in, to show us what they're really made of. And in the end, what we seen towards the latter part of 2018, the women actually did it better than the men. That was not being done in the day and age of the Bellas and all these other fucking women who had absolutely nothing to do with the women's evolution, where WWE was simply trotting women out there in scantily clad outfits, big tits, their ass hanging out. This is what they wanted to portray the women as. Eye candy. Oh, the guys are only watching the women's show or the women's stuff because they're attractive. So we need to keep the eyes on the product, so we're going to trot out women who are big-breasted and big-assed. That's all they're going to do. And that's exactly what they thought. The WWE internally, I'm sure, is 100% sexist. I'm sure. I'm sure there's more foul play going on backstage or internally that we're not really too keen about or in the know about that's happening. So for WWE to turn this other cheek and pretend like, oh, we're all women. No, you're not. No, you're not. Because if you were, everybody would be treated equal. The fact that WWE did what they did to Asuka, and the fact that WWE continues to push only who they want to push, and everybody else gets the fucking scraps at the table, they're not for the entirety of the women's evolution. They only want to push who they want to push. It's not equal across the board. They have failed to really believe and get behind the majority of the women's roster and only push who the mainstream wants to see, or the mainstream that the mainstream only knows. It's pathetic. It is absolutely pathetic. So I believe in Ronda Rousey that she said this 100% true. Rousey spoke the truth because women have really been dominating sports for quite a while. I mean, you could even look at what Ronda Rousey used to do in the UFC. That's the one thing here coming from the woman who's been in the trenches. Now, it is that WWE getting on the bandwagon is making a lot of noise thanks to their public relations machine, because they take the plunger and jam it down your fucking throat until you can't even fucking breathe anymore. This is why they were on ESPN in the first place. Now, we'll have to wait and see what happens at WrestleMania, but it is 100% believable in what Ronda Rousey is saying. It's very difficult for her not to be right in that situation. She is absolutely 100% right. Speaking of the main event of WrestleMania, WWE actually almost went the other way with it. WrestleMania 35, obviously, we'll see the first ever women's main event of WrestleMania. PW Insider reports that WWE is viewing this Mania main event match as a big victory backstage. However, it apparently wasn't that easy of a decision to make. The decision to go with the Raw Women's Championship match in the main event is being seen internally as a major victory for the women's division and for everyone involved in that storyline. Now, PW Insider is told that it was down between the Brock Lesnar-Seth Rollins match or the Raw Women's Championship match closing the show. How anybody internally could look at Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins closing that show and be okay with it is absolutely the dumbest thing I've ever fucking heard all year. I don't know how anyone looks at Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins as being a main event match at WrestleMania, because what we've seen on WWE TV is anything but a main event match. This has been brewing since November. This has been brewing for all of these months going into the Survivor Series, the TLC pay-per-view, the Royal Rumble, the Elimination Chamber, everything. And the women have stepped up and delivered some of the best main event matches that the company has had in the last 6 months. While Brock Lesnar has not even been on fucking television outside of the Royal Rumble and Survivor Series for a match with the Universal Championship around his shoulder. So why would anybody think that Brock Lesnar is still a box office draw? He's not. People aren't tuning in to watch Brock Lesnar. They don't even realize that he's even there anymore. With the scarcity that we see of Brock Lesnar. Seth Rollins has done absolutely nothing to get me on his side in beating Lesnar. At this point, I'm pro Lesnar. At this point, I want Rollins to lose because he's done nothing to make me believe. Everything that Rollins has stated remains hollow, uninteresting, and I'm not on the burn it down side of things. I want Brock Lesnar to fucking take the burn it down and shove it up Rollins' ass. I don't think Brock Lesnar is going to walk out of WrestleMania without the Universal Championship. So internally, how anybody is looking at the women and not putting them in the main event is beyond me. It was only the right thing to do. Now, I understand with Kofi and Daniel Bryan, they could have went with that. Being how that has transpired. But being that this is the main event, the triple threat match, gives us a little bit more hope that Becky Lynch is going to have a happy ending at WrestleMania. If Kofi was in the main event of WrestleMania, probably go with Kofi winning the WWE Championship to close WrestleMania. But now I'm 50-50 on it. Now that this announcement was made this week, Kofi Kingston's going to be on the undercard. I don't know where the WWE Championship's going to go, but it could end up being that Kofi doesn't win the WWE Championship because he's not in the closing match. Now, I'm still going with Kofi to win. I don't see him as a WWE champion. He's going to win the title and probably hold it for a month, and that's it. And then I'll laugh at everybody crying, oh, Kofi didn't get a 9, 10, 11, 12-month title reign with the title. You're asking for far too much. Seriously. So, with Becky Lynch closing the show with Charlotte and Ronda, more likely she'll win that match. Kofi Kingston, the right payoff is him winning the title and then dropping it a month later at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. And then Lesnar and Rollins, don't really give a shit. I'm hoping Lesnar walks out the champion. In fact, I expect it to happen because there's no reason to have Brock Lesnar booked for Saudi Arabia on May 3rd and have him not have the Universal Championship. So the title change will probably happen there. This was the only decision to make, and I'm glad WWE went with the women. This week's Off the Script is brought to you by WrestleRumble.com. Wrestle Rumble for the entirety of WrestleMania season is holding a raffle in which you could win not only one, but two custom-made WWE Championship title belts. One will be one of your own choosing. The other one will be a classic old-school Winged Eagle WWF Championship title. The rules are simple. Go to WrestleRumble.com. One entry will cost you $10. Drawing ends on March 31st, and Wrestle Rumble will be using random.org to determine the winner. Once again, you guys have up until March 31st at 4:45 p.m., and the drawing will take place at 5 p.m. that very same day. Once again, that's WrestleRumble.com, and hopefully, one of you listening to Off the Script this month will be a two-time World Heavyweight Champion. You know, I'm a big fan, and I think everybody knows of my love for the WWE Funko Pops. I have so many of them, I don't even know what to do with them. I have doubles and triples of some. I got pretty much Funko Pop littered all over my desk. I got Negan, I got Chris Jericho here, I got Kenny Omega, who is a better wrestler than both Tamina Snuka and Nia Jax combined. I have the Hardys here, I got Jeff and Matt. I'm a big collectible of the WWE Funko Pops. And I seen that Becky Lynch finally has a Funko Pop of herself. The man has a Funko Pop. She's going to be getting that big Funko Pop money very, very soon. Her Pop vinyl figure will not be available just anywhere. And this is why I collect them. I got a very rare, I believe, AJ Lee. I have a rare Bella twins, Nikki and Brie Bella. You know, I like to collect those. I know the CM Punk one that I have is just a regular one. Even him you can't even find anymore. And I think the value of that I paid was like $15, probably less than that. And the Funko Pop is worth $100 because they got like price guides and all that stuff. I used to be big into the baseball card things, buying the weekly, not the weekly, but the monthly price guides. You know, seeing the fluctuations go up and down of the cards that you got. They got that for Funko Pop. You can go online and find the legit collectible price for these Funko Pop. I know there's a CM Punk one where he's wearing the pink tights. That's like worth like almost like a $500, $600, I believe. So they are very collectible. If you find the right ones, they are very collectible. So when I seen this available, she's getting her own Funko Pop action figure, and it's only going to be an Amazon exclusive. Set to be released in August around SummerSlam. Her pop is already, I believe, sold out of pre-orders. Luckily, I got myself one. As soon as I seen it on Twitter, I jumped on that immediately. Becky Lynch's Amazon exclusive Funko Pop vinyl figure is currently sitting at number 2, probably at number 1 as I do this, in the website's toy section. The only toy and or game that topped the man's Funko Pop is a game called Buzz. This is a drinking game that gets you and your friends wasted. So what they're trying to tell you is to correlate with WWE, if you're going to buy Becky Lynch's Funko Pop, make sure that you get Buzzed, the drinking game that gets you and your friends wasted, and play it on Monday nights, because that's the only way Monday Night Raw will be enjoyable. In fact, I invite no one over during Monday Night Raw because I'm embarrassed to watch it with anybody. So there you go. But being wasted is always good. Lynch will certainly be enjoying some bonus merchandise money around WrestleMania, as her shirts and apparel right now, Becky Lynch is the number 1 merchandise seller in all of WWE. Beating out everybody, AJ and Lesnar and Rollins and Roman, Charlotte and Ronda. That alone speaks volumes. That alone could net her a unified women's championship. So, WrestleMania is definitely going to be big for Becky Lynch, that Funko Pop. I love Amazon because I pre-order. They don't charge it until it ships. It's already there. You got my order. Bill me when it arrives. There you go. So if you guys did not jump on that, if you guys want to go and find it, sure you can find it on Amazon if it's still available. Not really sure on that completely. Or eBay. You guys can go find it on eBay as well. WWE is not committing to any other women on the roster. I mentioned this in passing in my opening to today's podcast, but this is 100% legitimate. WWE made quote-unquote history last year at Evolution, but there might not be a sequel to that event. After all, the main event was Ronda Rousey versus fucking Nikki Bella, who retired one day, and then the next day says, well, you know what? I'm open for a comeback. And then Brie mentioned, well, we come back and challenge Sasha and Bayley for the women's tag team titles. So why the fuck did you state that you are retired from professional wrestling? Shut your mouth and go fucking brew your wine or whatever the fuck you do. Go stomp on your grapes and give me the Bella Vista wine or whatever the fuck you got going on over there. Birdie B. Whatever the fuck you got going on. Stay out of my ring. Seriously. Anyway, that main event was terrible, which capped off a subpar WWE All-Women's Pay-Per-View. Now, Wrestling Observer Newsletter noted that WWE is not committed to doing another Evolution. Now, this could add more weight to the idea that WWE only held this event because of the star power they could get in the main event, coupled with the controversy surrounding Saudi Arabia, where the women are not allowed to perform. So, this is WWE doing a favor for the women because they made an uproar, or everybody on social media made an uproar that they couldn't go to Saudi Arabia. People canceled their WWE Network subscriptions because of WWE's stance on Saudi Arabia for whatever happened over there, plus the fact the women can't go over there. So they bundled 3 pay-per-views in the span of 4 weeks. And now, being that Ronda's future's uncertain, that Nikki Bella's not going to be there. She shouldn't have been there in the first place. Now WWE doesn't want to commit to anybody else on the roster to book or schedule an Evolution pay-per-view. And then this is the company that you're bitching at because Asuka lost the title. Meanwhile, they go and you see reports like this. What would you like me to tell you? It's not only Asuka, folks. It's everybody. It is everybody. If you are not Charlotte Flair or a woman in the industry who's going to bring mainstream fucking Regis and Kelly or whatever, Michael and Kelly or fucking Good Morning America or ESPN, they don't want you. They don't want you. They don't want to put the effort into building you, or they don't like the color of your skin. They don't like the fact that you're not a fucking Barbie doll, the fact that you don't have blonde hair and big tits, the fact that you don't speak English. WWE doesn't do what the pro wrestling thing, they don't do the pro wrestling thing for these events. They don't have a pro wrestling mentality. Everything they do, sickeningly, has to do with how could we get the most mainstream attention? How could we force an agenda on somebody when we don't have a Ronda or a Nikki Bella? You mean to tell me, out of all the women on that fucking roster, in NXT included, you can't book a fucking Evolution pay-per-view? But all the women that you have that want to come out and be a part of something like this, like a Lita or a Trish or a fucking, I don't know, Tori Wilson or Michelle McCool, Everybody, Ivory and Jacqueline, all these women that want to come back, Molly Holly, all these women that want to come back and be a part of this shit. You mean to tell me that you don't have enough in the history books to book a show that's meaningful for the fucking mainstream public? The fact that you're giving women an all-women's platform to fucking go out there and perform should be enough. You don't need a Ronda Rousey. You don't need a Nikki Bella. The reason why you got Ronda Rousey was to get the division where it is now. If you're not following up with that, what's the point? What is the point? You're taking Ronda's work and pretty much telling us, well, you're not here, so whatever you did is worthless if you're not here. I hate this company, man. This company is run by a bunch of fucking idiots. They might have the right idea when it comes to making money, but the logic behind these people, the fucking political landscape that is this company, makes me sick to my stomach. Go ahead, don't do an Evolution. Go ahead, don't do an Evolution. I'm not gonna fucking care. I didn't like the first one. But the fact that you shoot yourself in the fucking foot, that you could have made the first one special, and you didn't, because you had to worry about fucking the best in the world. A tournament that wasn't even won by someone who was in the fucking tournament. Go ahead, don't do a women's pay-per-view. Show me how much you don't care about the women's Evolution. Go ahead. And the fact that they don't do it, it's going to raise even more questions, more so this year. Well, the only reason why they did it was because the women weren't going to Saudi Arabia, and it was you know what, we'll keep you on the down low, we'll shut you up for now, but this is it. This is it. So it was a compensation for the women not going to Saudi Arabia. When the women are allowed to wrestle in Saudi Arabia, we won't be talking about another Evolution pay-per-view, because WWE will not need it. They won't need it, because their job would be done. And when that's announced, forget about it. That would be ingrained in your fucking head that you'll be having nightmares about it for weeks on end. Someone who's having nightmares, I'm sure, is Schinsky Nakamura. It's said by Dave Meltzer that Schinsky Nakamura has checked out. He's checked out of the WWE hotel. Good. He's been there for how many years? And's done nothing. Absolutely nothing. Dave Meltzer discussed this situation on the Wrestling Observer Live. Nakamura relocated his family to Florida when he took the job with WWE. They like it there, says Meltzer. So it looks like that he's all in it for now. So he could stay in Florida. He doesn't have to stay with WWE. There's someone else that I know that's in Florida that I'm sure would love to have Nakamura. He could stay in Florida. He could surf and do whatever the fuck he wants. Meltzer says, and I quote, he's not doing anything. He's checked out. He's just there because his family likes Florida. He's out there to surf. He's kinda on his pension now. You know what I mean? End quote. Nakamura is one of the most talented guys they got. Fucking charisma that people normally don't even fucking have at all, or are not even born with. The guy has. He's got more charisma than half the fucking roster. And WWE looks at him because he doesn't speak English. But he speaks English pretty decently, and he's gotten better. And he's better in the ring. You fucked him up as a babyface, so you turned him heel, and then you abandoned him. What would you like me to say about Nakamura? What has Nakamura done on the main roster that is warranted of me sitting here begging him to stay in WWE? The best thing that Schinsky Nakamura did in WWE was WrestleMania 32 weekend in Dallas at TakeOver against Sami Zayn. And I don't want to hear any rebuttals from anybody based on that notion alone. Done. His feud with AJ sucked. His feud with Jinder Mahal was fucking horrendous. It's a career killer. Jinder Mahal is a former WWE champion. Don't you guys know that? He's on WWE Raw every week. Jinder Mahal, great athlete. He's a former WWE champion. They had this guy beat Shinsuke Nakamura, and what did they do with Jinder Mahal? He went right back to catering, where he belongs, thus killing Shinsuke Nakamura and the aura that was Shinsuke Nakamura. I'll repeat it once, and I'm sure I'll say it again when the time arises when it needs to be discussed. Nakamura should have won the title at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view that year. He should have beat Mahal at SummerSlam. But he lost, and then he lost to Mahal at Hell in a Cell. Should have won the WWE Championship coming out of that show, or those shows. He should have went into the Royal Rumble, the WWE Champion. He should have went into WrestleMania, the WWE Champion. So at least we get that title around his waist as a babyface. And AJ should have won the Royal Rumble, leading us to the same thing at WrestleMania. WWE didn't do that. They gave Nakamura nothing. So after the match with AJ and the feud with AJ, he had nothing to do. They gave him the United States Championship with no explanation. He comes from one title feud and is automatically thrusted into another. They give him the United States Championship. He does nothing with it. They take it off of him, put it on Rusev. He does nothing with it. Loses it to R-Truth. R-Truth does nothing with it. Now it's on Samoa Joe, and he's lost 3 weeks in a row as the United States Champion. Is the title fucking cursed? Is the title cursed? You might as well put it in the Zach Bagans fucking museum. That's how cursed it is. Nakamura checked out. Good. There's another wrestling organization down in Jacksonville. I'm sure you can get some good waves out there too. Fucking ridiculous. Vince McMahon, does he appreciate his talent? Finally, Ryback. Don't know why I'm talking about Ryback. Ryback actually had very interesting comments this week. Comments that I agree with 1,000%. Ryback says WWE's taking their fans for granted this year at WrestleMania. Well, you don't say. You don't fucking say. Ryan Reeves has something intelligent to say. During his conversations with the big guy, Matt Coon asks Ryback if he thinks WWE is starting to take the fans for granted, and he received a very interesting response. Ryback says, and I quote, "I would agree with that completely. I think they have done such a great job at building WrestleMania up as its own standalone event. People know it's an attraction, and they go to these big stadiums and they're going to sell out or come close to a sellout, and people from all over the world are going to come for the experience of Wrestling Week and all the festivities that are in town. The event almost sells itself now to where they don't have to put as much focus necessarily on storylines and building up that they had in the past to sell the event. The event now is selling itself. So I think I would agree with you that that does happen, and this year definitely. Every year seems to get a little worse as far as the lack of theirs sometimes. From a talent standpoint, They're just doing what they're told. And again, I think the women's storyline and the match with Ronda has gotten a lot of attention. But the Brock and Seth stuff, it doesn't feel as special as it should. And I don't know. That's just me watching it. I just don't understand. There's just something that doesn't feel as big about this WrestleMania. End quote. Now, normally I don't even listen to Ryback. In fact, I don't listen to him at all. But, man, is he 100% right on everything. Does WWE take the fans for granted? Yeah, they do. The one thing, I don't know why I'm thinking about this. Maybe it's because I watched it the other day. And I watched an episode of Family Guy. And it was the episode where Stewie Griffin is on steroids. Peter Griffin takes him to the gym and injects him with steroids because he got beat up, did Stewie, by Susie Swanson, Joe Swanson's new daughter. So he's out in Joe's yard playing with some Barbie dolls. Susie takes one of the Barbie dolls and beats the shit out of Stewie. He's got all these bruises all over his face and his legs and his body. And Lois is in the kitchen giving him Johnson & Johnson. This was a treatment or an ointment that mothers or fathers used on their children to kind of, use as an antibacterial substance for a cut or a scrape or anything like that. And Stewie was screaming in pain when Lois put the Johnson & Johnsons on his skin. So then they go to one of those random clips that Family Guy is typically known for, and it's two scientists in a lab with a Johnson & Johnson's bottle. And they are talking about the product, and one scientist says, and we'll put no more tears on the bottle. And then the other scientist goes, well, it does make you cry. And the evil scientist says, yes, but they don't have to know about that. And then you see the fucking, the castle that they're in, and lightning in the background, and thunder in the background. It's ridiculous. I think I have the clip queued up here. Watch. I'll play the clip here. Watch this. I wanted to go find the clip for you guys so you know in actuality what I'm talking about. It's better if you guys hear it instead of me describing it to you. This was on Family Guy. The no more tears. Listen to this. This is exactly what I think when I hear Ryback talk about WrestleMania and them taking the fans for granted.
Okay, now, sweetie, this isn't gonna hurt at all.
Ah, those lying bastards at Johnson & Johnson!
We'll put no more tears on the label.
But it does make you cry.
I know.
Oh my God, that is so WWE, man. That is so WWE. They'll put out garbage and people will still fucking attend these shows and spend big money knowing that what you've seen on television for the last 8 weeks has been absolutely fucking horrendous, man. Unbelievable. Do I believe what Ryback stated was fact? Absolutely, man. He hit the nail on the head, and more people need to wake up to that being factual information, man. WrestleMania and WWE is taking their fans for granted. They could put out anything and people are going to come and be mindless fucking zombies, not knowing exactly what the fuck is going on. I'm getting out of here, man. Thank you guys so very much for all your support on Off the Script this Friday. I actually got the date wrong before. It's March 29th, not March 30th. It's Friday, March 29th. But thank you guys regardless of all your support, man. Remember, bonfire.com. Down in the description below. Make sure you guys go and get your t-shirts today exclusively on bonfire.com. harrys.com/script for your free trial. Follow me on social media at JD from NY206 on both Twitter and Instagram. JD from New York on Twitch. Hit that subscribe button down below. Turn on that bell for all notifications. Patreon.com/JD from NY206. Cody for Schinsky Nakamura. I had to do it. You guys know the deal with Hooters. That is 155 West 33rd Street, New York City, Madison Square Garden, right across from Madison Square Garden. 1 to 4 p.m. Friday, April 5th. RSVP down in the comments section below. That is pinned at the very top. Make sure you guys go and check out Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Live, and NXT reviews live on the channel right now. Links are in the little eye that you see in the top right corner of your screen. A lot of content there. Almost 3 hours, over 3 hours, in fact, of content right now on the channel. between all three of those shows. And jdfromny.com. Make sure you guys go and sign up for the newsletter. jdfromny.com. Thank you so very much for all your support. Hit that thumbs up, guys. I will see you right back here on Saturday afternoon with more right here on Off the Script. We'll be talking a possible New Day breakup at WrestleMania, being that Kofi Kingston is now in the WWE title match. Much more on WrestleMania as far as news goes. Possible spoiler on Brock Lesnar's match outcome. Daniel Cormier's status for, yes, UFC heavyweight champion Daniel Cormier's status for WrestleMania. The Undertaker's WrestleMania status, and why The Undertaker was at the Performance Center last week. It's not for a return in the ring. Current plan for John Cena, and WWE is reportedly letting Kurt Angle pick all of his opponents except for his WrestleMania opponent. So make sure you guys check in on Saturday for all those news and rumors right here on Off the Script, man. Thank you guys so much. Hit that thumbs up, and I'll see you right back here on Saturday afternoon for more OTS. I'll talk to you then.